Kerrith and Densign are both incredible leaders and just done an amazing job in growing the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation.
They have the process to bring a federation to where it should be.
We were starting really from scratch.
Ultimately, there's an end goal. As an amateur sport, there's always that Olympic dream.
I hired Densign because we were looking for a CEO, and I was the president, and he came to Paris for an interview. And I knew him because he was also a Judo Olympian, and we were fighting in the same competition at that time.
In 2014, I went through a kind of an interview process with Bertrand. Then I met with the vice president, who was George. They explained the mission for the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. I kind of bought into that. I could see where they were going with it. I could see the possibilities. So I decided to jump on board.
In 2014, I was kind of brought in to see how we could develop the International Federation. And of that was the UK Federation, in terms of trying to get a federation to act as a shadowing, sanctioning role in the UFC structure.
Obviously, Kerrith and Densign, coming from an Olympic sport in Judo, they've played and participated in their sport, that sport at the highest level.
They're very unusual in their story, their background, coming from being at school in Wolverhampton, I believe, getting interested in sport, being good at sport, going to the Olympic Games, winning medals. I mean, it's a tremendous story in itself. I've come across lots of leaders in sport in my time, and I just felt that these two guys were genuine and they really cared about developing the sport. It wasn't a massive ego trip, which happens a lot. And they'd built a really good team.
IMMAF has always had the vision of becoming an Olympic sport.
The Olympic Games is obviously what's the largest sporting event in the world.
So if we talk about Judo, which is my own sport, the building blocks is that you come from the ground of amateur development. And part of that journey is obviously competition to represent your club, then to represent your country, and then competing on an international level. And then beyond that, European Worlds and Olympic Games.
The work that has been done since 10 years, you would tell me that in 10 years we would be there, I would never believe, never. And of course, Densign and Kerrith, they were so instrumental. Since they're here, we increased like this.
The WADA signatory status was something that took a lot of work and a lot of effort, both by Densign and Kerrith, but also by the entire IMMAF organization to get that done. That was an incredibly important step, and of course, it is also a prerequisite to becoming an Olympic recognized sport and part of potentially the Olympic Games.
Now it's, I would say, it's more or less a question of time.
I think it's a big ticket item. We're talking potentially, if we were trying to get into the Olympic Games, we have to maintain this standard, and so it should be. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's about educating everybody in the sport, especially the coaches, and the athletes are the ones that we have to protect.
I think long-term, eventually, mixed martial arts will become part of the Olympic Games.
It's a big job, but I think we're getting closer to the finish line now with this. I really do.
It's a dream, and sometimes dreams do come true.